Hello and welcome to Sage 300 highlights for 2022. Amanda here from marketing, and I'm joined by Peter Xu, Sage's ERP product manager, and he'll be talking us through the roadmap updates and enhancements for Sage 300. So handing over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Amanda. So my name is Peter Chu, and I have the pleasure of presenting this Sage 300 22 update for you. And as we get started, I'd like to start with, I guess, a quick overview of our roadmap and our vision for Sage 300, and highlighting to you our priorities that we currently have for development and as part of the roadmap within Sage 300. Over the past couple of years, we've been very focused on developing, I guess, a modernization strategy for Sage 300, both on the platform side and on the user experience side. So there's been a lot of work that's been going through in Sage 300 in ensuring that the backend platform can support some modern day UIs and web screens. And as part of that, we've delivered quite a lot in terms of new refreshed web screens for Sage 300. In addition to further enhancements to the desktop screens, and we'll be continuing to continue refining and developing on our web screens going forward into the future as part of the user expectations for Sage 300. In addition to that, we recognize that in today's data-rich environment, we need good analytics, and it's been heavy feedback to our product teams that analytics is a must within today's environment. So working with partners, we're going to continue to enhance our BI and analytics capability within the system, and you'll see more of that and we'll talk more of that in the future slides. This also leads us to our ISV strategies. So we're heavily focused on what we call a connective strategy for Sage 300. And as part of that, that includes an enhancement into our ISV partner ecosystem. That's introduced the release of our marketplace over the past 12 months, which has brought on new partners, further enhanced our SDK and APIs to be able to provide better real-time connectivity into Sage 300. As we support the future into cloud and that journey into cloud, we're going to be continuing to enhance our technologies and our capabilities in that journey through to cloud. So as part of that, we've worked closely with companies like Microsoft Azure and AWS in releasing better deployment functionalities to be able to go down that cloud journey and for Sage to be able to help facilitate your pathway into cloud. Another initiative that we have launched as well in previous years, but we're going to be putting additional focus on this over the future years as well, is to put additional effort and additional capabilities into addressing some of the ideas that are within our portal. We do have that help and ideas portal for Sage 300, and we appreciate all the feedback that's come through from our clients and partners within that ideas portal, and we'll be looking to address many of those over the coming years as well. So starting off with a little look back at what we've done over the past 12 months and what are the features that you have seen released on Sage 300. So within the 2021 year, just highlighting through, we introduced a Pay Now link within the framework, which allows us to collect payments through either Stripe or PayPal directly from your invoices with the new Pay Now button. We've enhanced our web screens to introduce a lot of our GL, AR, AP capability within the system. And you're going to see more coming through in the next release in terms of job costing and also usability improvements for adding users, improving Finder results, printing, and even keyboard shortcuts. From a compliance perspective, we've introduced some new features on the AR and AP side to be able to capture withholding tax directly on the transactions, which is available for both desktop UI and web screens as well. As part of the visual process flows within Sage 300, we have them both in web screens and on desktop mode. We've updated those capabilities within visual process flows. We've taken away the need for Adobe Flash and provided additional enhancements to be able to customize that for your needs. We've introduced new data integrity checking capabilities. So as I mentioned, we're going down a connective data strategy path which allows third parties to better integrate into Sage 300. And as part of that, we've put data integrity checking facilities there for third parties to ensure that the information they use out of Sage 300 is as accurate as possible. On the technical side, we've introduced support for Windows 11, support for Windows Server 2022, and we've also enhanced our web software development kit for those third parties or developers that are building on Sage 300 to be able to have a much richer experience. For those of you that are still using desktop screens for Sage 300, there have been some significant enhancements on the visual process flows, now allowing us to be able to customize those visual process flows. And I do encourage you all to go into help.sage300.com to be able to see what some of these features are, how to implement those features within your business. And you've always got your account managers at Microchannel to help walk you through some of those enhancements as well. But going a little deeper into some of those enhancements. So when we look at those web screens, our initial focus has been around, as I mentioned, the modernization strategy. That focus starts with the core fundamentals within Sage 300, which is our general ledger. So we've introduced in the account history inquiry screen, budget maintenance screen, and source currency inquiry screen. And as you can see here, the screens are designed not just for tailorability, but also for a fresh user interface, allowing user onboarding and adoption to be a lot more simpler, a lot more intuitive in today's environment. We then further extended into the accounts receivable screen, where you can now see the receipt inquiry and the refund inquiry screens, and added the ability to manage your users via the web as well. Our Finder screen saw a massive simplification, redesigning our Finder, allowing you to improve on the filtering capabilities and navigation through your data and large data sets. In addition to that, new keyboard shortcuts now allow you to navigate without a mouse whilst you're using this on a web browser. Furthering into the web screen improvements, or that usability improvements, we've introduced new features for printing reports. So having your user interface now within a browser screen means that you've got a different way of doing things. So we've further enhanced on that to be able to print directly from the web screens onto your computer. And as with all of these additional enhancements, if you are using our web screens, you now have access to all your help in the one place. So just clicking on that question mark on the top right-hand corner of the screen gives you access to not only the help within the web screens, but the application, and also for third-party solutions as well. So let's move across onto what we've seen coming through more recently in the last release, and also going to give you a touch on what's coming through in the next release. So in the next few weeks, we will be releasing version 2022 product update 2. With that, we've incorporated in there new web screens, continuing on with that web screen flow for project and job costing. So we've now integrated project and job costing across on the web screen side to work with AP transactions. So you'll now be able to have job-related information on your AP invoice entry, your payment entry, and also your adjustment entry. And you'll be able to then further report on all of that through your AP batch listing reports as well. From a security perspective, we've started on a new journey of introducing additional security onto Sage 300, something that's needed when we are looking at a more connected and online world. And as part of that, the first step is for us to introduce options for better password security, providing those standard features that you're familiar with seeing in terms of number of letters, lowercase, upper letter, special characters for your password security. We'll continue to work in this area and enhance the solution to be a lot more secure as we go into that connected world with other authentication methods in future releases. To further support that though, we have also introduced a concept called LAMPACK license. This allows third-party integrations to now connect into the solution with a much more reliable and dedicated connection, minimizing the collisions and the conflicts within the communication into Sage 300 and being able to provide a much richer integration experience with third-party solutions. Another nice enhancement that's coming through in the next release is our email functionality. So with that email functionality, we'll now have the ability to select GraphQL or Microsoft Graph, sorry, as the email service. By doing so, it allows you to connect the email service within Sage 300 to your Microsoft 365 account and send emails out directly from Microsoft 365. Further to that, if you don't use Microsoft 365 and you have the requirements for using your desktop or you're on a desktop install for Sage 300, the functionality will be there as well to be able to use your locally installed Outlook client to be able to send emails as well, just by unticking that email service checkbox. So now moving on to our Sage 300 marketplace. So as I mentioned in a previous slide, we have introduced this concept called a marketplace for Sage 300 in the past year. Now, as part of that, we've got a numerous amount of, all of our Sage 300 partners have actually moved across onto this marketplace environment. And as part of that, we've further extended that marketplace for specific functionalities that we've been introducing over the past 12 months as well. So as a starting point, we've introduced a new partner called Yodlee, which has provided us with partnerships for our New Zealand banks, giving us access to actually over 114 New Zealand banks and building societies in New Zealand. And this is something that's part of our subscription services. For those of you that are in Australia, you'd already be familiar with our current bank feed service for the major Australian banks. Yodlee will also extend on some of those Australian banks as well to be able to provide integration feeds from things such as American Express or even credit card accounts from various banks as well. As part of our Pay Now function that we've introduced, we did introduce new partnerships with Stripe and PayPal. This allows you to collect, firstly, what it does is it allows you to put that Pay Now button onto your invoices. So when you do send out an invoice to a customer, rather than having to wait for them to manually transfer funds or pick up the phone to pay a credit card payment, you now have that option to have the Pay Now button on your invoices. A customer will be able to click on that Pay Now. It will open up an online checkout process either with Stripe or PayPal, whichever provider you wish to use, or you can actually give the customer an option of both as well, so they can choose which provider they want to pay through and pay those invoices directly there and then using credit card. There was a research done a year ago or a couple of years ago that really identified that people are paying their bills not during business hours, and more than 50% these days, and a lot of bills are now paid, at the convenience of when businesses are ready. And by providing these kind of payment services, it allows your customers to pay you whenever they're free to pay you, which is a big requirement in today's environment. I mentioned earlier and talked about our need for better analytics and our roadmap into the BI and analytics space. So one of the partners that we've actually worked with very closely is a company called Zap BI and introduced a Sage branded product called Sage Data Analytics. This automates the process of collecting data from multiple sources across the customer's business. It consolidates all this rich data into a data hub that's securely managed on a cloud infrastructure. It includes pre-configured role-based out-of-the-box dashboards and reports that allow customers to instantly analyze data and start measuring performance immediately. It provides a swift return on investment for your customers by providing that visibility and that snapshot analytics for any user on the system. So as part of this, there are pre-configured and pre-packaged data models. So it means that when you do set up Sage Data and Analytics for your business, You're not turning it on to a blank screen. There are pre-configured models there and feeds directly from Sage 300 into your BI environment. So it's an intuitive data modeling experience that's 100% on the cloud. So that navigation and the user friendliness is as you would expect for a modern day BI solution, allowing you to access on both your laptop, tablet, and also a mobile device as well. And you can configure that for ease of KPIs so that within your dashboard, you have that snapshot view of what's happening within your business. So as part of our Net Promoter feedback, this is one of the biggest pain points for our customers that came through. 40% of our customers indicated that data analytics was an essential requirement for their business and important to the company and the future roadmap of their organization. And 56% of businesses that we spoke to also indicated that they're not satisfied with their current solution. And as part of that, we introduced the new Sage Data and Analytics cloud service. So in summarizing what you do get out of Sage Data and Analytics, it's essentially BI in a box. It's pre-packaged, it's a fully customizable information that's there without massive implementation efforts to get you up and running. As it's a cloud solution, along with the web screens that we've shown you earlier, it's all about user configurability, so no coding experience necessary to be able to present the data that you need on screen. And the big benefit that you'll also get through Sage Data and Analytics is that it's not restricted to just Sage information. So you'll be able to connect in with anything from spreadsheets or information from other business solutions that you have within your organization and consolidate that into the one place for reporting. So essentially from a business perspective, we've taken away a lot of the burdens in terms of deployment. We've taken away the overhead in terms of IT support for being able to implement the solution and pre-packaging the solution for ease of use, and provided that platform that's purely in the cloud and allows any user to be able to access the information from anywhere in the world.
Thank you, Peter, for presenting a good update for Sage 300 and the very fresh 2022.2 updates. Yeah, if you've got any questions, please reach out to your appropriate account manager and location.